Welcome back to episode 19 of the F1 2010 career mode for the final round of season 1 here for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at the Marina circuit in the United Arab Emirates. Round 19 of season 1 with Scuderia Toro Rosso. So it has taken me quite a while, but we have finally arrived at the last round of the season. It has actually taken me over a full calendar year to actually complete the first season in the series. We started this in November of 2023 and it's now December 2024. It's pretty bad how slow I am with getting through a season, but we finally made it. So I really want to thank you for sticking with me throughout the course of the season, even though it took so long. So yeah, let's just try and end the season on a positive note here. For this last round at Marina. Going over the setup now, I decided to go for 3-3 wings. I think I copied a setup from someone. So we're going to see how that works. It was actually pretty difficult to really get the flow going here in practice. A bit of formation flying here with my teammate Sebastian Boemi. I've done 2 laps already, but as you can see on the top right, I haven't actually posted a vetted lap yet because I kept exceeding the track limits. We posted a lap for 48.5, which is still very slow, only good enough for P21. And we've actually dropped to last now as we try and improve gradually into the 46s now, up to P18. Apparently losing most of my time in the Sector 3. But I was also really still sandbagging a lot, still on the prime tire as well, with pretty heavy fuel. So there's still a lot of time to find. And already in Sector 1 you can see I'm improving by 6 tenths there. You can actually get away with cutting that first bit of the chicane slightly. So into the 43s now, up to P7, that's already a lot better. That was like the first representative lap that I did in that session. As we exit turn 1 here, into turn 2, and I completely smashed into the wall. I turned it a little bit too early and just caught the end of the barrier there, which completely pivoted my car around. So that was the end of practice. A 123G impact. That's not that healthy. But yeah, P9.
9th position in practice, that's pretty good. Nice work.
1.7 off, but still quite a bit of time to find. The 2 Red Bulls lock out the first 2 positions. And David Croft is calling us again for yet another interview.
It's the final race of a long, grueling season this weekend. So are you going to be pulling out all the stops to end on a high?
Yeah, definitely, because we have really thrown away so many opportunities this season, and we really want to go for that victory this weekend because I think the pace is there for it. We just need to minimize the mistakes and try and also, of course, qualify as high up the grid as possible, which hasn't really been the issue this season. We really need to qualify well and then actually finish it off in the race, because that's what I've been struggling with. We've had 11 poles so far this season and only 2 victories, so that really puts it in perspective.
Now, as much as I hate to say this, you've obviously lost out to Jensen this season, even though you did announce that you had every intention of finishing higher than him. So is there anything you want to say on the matter?
Well, having Jensen as a rival was probably a little bit too opportunistic, because of course he is the current world champion after winning it in 2009 with Braun, and he's also in a very competitive car with the McLaren. Of course, I do have the aspirations to go to a top team like McLaren or Ferrari or Red Bull, so that's why I chose him as a rival, because I think at that point he was the lowest down in the standings where I could actually pick who was actually of the drivers who were actually driving for a top team. So yeah, we just missed out. I think he's 1 place ahead of us in the championship, so we weren't even too far away, but unfortunately the points gap is too large to overcome, so we have lost out on that rivalry. But considering we are driving a Toro Rosso, it's nothing to be ashamed of.
Now, racing at dusk must present the driver with a totally different environment to that which he's used to. Is it easy enough for you to get used to?
Yeah, I actually like it, and I mean, racing at dusk, it's not like racing at night, so the visibility is still really good, and I think it's actually really immersive and pretty unique for Abu Dhabi, of course, having the race start at daytime and then sort of go into twilight, and I think it's a really nice atmosphere. So let's go to qualifying now for the last time this season. So yeah, I looked over the stats and we've had 11 pole positions this season, which is pretty crazy. I actually decided to adjust the aero a little bit. I was running 3.3 in practice, and I decided to up the front wing to 4. Just have a little bit more turn in, especially, even up to 5, especially for turn 3, the long right-hander. You really want to have the downforce there, otherwise you really have to lift, which really costs you time. But of course there's also the long back straight. So 43.6 to open the account, that's already 3/10 quicker than what I did in practice. But considering we are on the option tires, there's probably still a bit of time to find. Oh, thank you, Chandok. He completely blocked my run there in the exit of turn 3. But despite that, I actually managed to improve my 5th lap here. We go from 10th to 5th. 41.1, correction. 41.933. Especially sector 2 was good, but of course we lost out in sector 1 because of the moment with Chandok. So we are into the 41s now, which is already a lot better considering we were doing 43s in practice. You can see still a slight lift there coming through turn 3, but still a 7/10 improvement now heading into this second sector. You can see again a bit of a cut there in that chicane. You can get away with it into the hairpin, trying to get the exit there with a bit of a late apex, and then getting on the power end to carry the momentum onto the back straight. Into the final sector, a 9/10 improvement now as we go into this sort of triple chicane section. And then into the final sector. The curb there is also a little bit tricky. It can sometimes throw you off. Then of course there's this hotel bit. I actually ran out of fuel in the final sector, which was quite a shame because I was on for a good lap. I still actually decided to finish the lap. But of course I lost all of my drive, so I couldn't improve it. I was only 69 thousandths of a second slower. So that shows that there's definitely a lot of time to find still. So P6, 7/10 behind Mark Webber, who has won the championship this season. Yeah, sector 3 mainly because of course I ran out of fuel there. So we're gonna go for a new set of tires and go at it again for this final run. This is already gonna be my 7th lap. With 3 minutes to go, we can still get 2 laps in, but you can see it is absolute traffic paradise here. My way was completely blocked into turn 1 by Kovalainen. My teammate is there as well, who gets out of the way, but that definitely cost me a couple tenths. But still, we improved to a 141.5, and we go from 5th to 4th, so already on the 2nd row now. And with 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining, this is going to be my last lap of the session and the last attempt to still get pole. A 141.162 to beat for Mark Webber. As we go into the final sector, we've really hooked up this lap very nicely indeed. As we go into the final sector, trying to hit all the apexes and just carry the speed through the corners here in this final sector. On the power, now into this penultimate corner. Shifting down 2 gears to 3rd, running it out wide onto the curbs, and then down to 3rd gear again for the final corner. On the power, up towards the line, it's going to be a 1 minute 40.3.
Great session, you're on pole. The boss is over the moon with that result.
So, it took me quite a while, but in the end, in my 8th attempt, we've managed to secure our 12th pole position of the season. And hopefully that can set us up to end of the season strong in the race.
So as the season draws to a close, how do you think things have gone for you this year?
I think things have gone pretty well. I didn't really have any expectations at the start of the season, also because I wasn't really sure how the AI were going to be around most tracks, but considering we have won 3 races, it's not too bad.
Finishing behind Jenson Button in the standings was something you specifically mentioned that you didn't want to happen this season. So is this going to spur you and the team on to work even harder next year?
Well, yes, if I actually still end up being with this team next year.
I was wondering, does racing at dusk present you with any new challenges, or is it pretty much like any other race?
No, yeah, like I said in the interview after practice, it really is like any other race. It doesn't matter too much. So, speaking of races, let's get started with the race day for the 90th time this season. So, in the Toro Rosso garage for the final time this season then, and maybe even for the final time in this series, because there is still a bit of uncertainty for next season. I mean, I did actually initially re-sign a couple episodes ago. I think it was around episode 10 or 11. But who knows? Maybe we can find a loophole to still actually be with a better team next season. So it's going to be crucial to try and win this race, to really hopefully impress the other teams around us. So again, I adjusted down for slightly there. I think I decided to go for 5-5 wings in the end, or 5-4 wings. Here we can see the teammate challenge. We have pretty much smashed Sebastian out of the park this year. We've outraced him 13 times to 5. We've got 4 podiums to his none. 18 times we've out-qualified him. He's actually out-qualified us once. And yeah, we've scored a lot more points as well over the course of the season.
Get the car off the jacks and start the engine. Let's get the car on the track.
It will also be great if we can actually have a strong teammate next season to possibly fight for the Constructors' Championship. So exiting the pit garage then for the last time this season. It's pole position yet again with the current world champion Mark Webber next to us, Jensen Button in 4th, Warden in 17th.
It's been a long journey. Let's end the season on a high note.
It's been a very long journey indeed. For the last time this season, the lights change and we are off for 11 laps at the Yas Marina circuit. A very solid start there, and we managed to hold on to the lead in turn 1, with the order still pretty much unchanged behind us. Hamilton from the 2 Red Bulls, Webber and Vettel, who of course won his first championship in this very race in 2010. Of course, Sebastian Vettel with the number 5 on his car ever since the numbers were introduced in 2014. Of course, he used it from 2015 onwards because he used the number 1 in 2014, but he actually wore the number 5 as well in this season in 2010. So it's been the perfect start, really. We've already eked out with a lead, and until lap 4, we pretty much just controlled the race. We pulled away from Mark Webber by a couple seconds, and we're now at the end of our first stint. So really the perfect opening to the race we could have asked for. This is the race we should have had so many times this season. Just leading the way from the front and keeping the lead. So in for our first stop then. We are also slightly more removed from the rest of the field with nobody close behind us. So finally we can actually have an uninterrupted pit stop without others blocking us in the pit box, which is nice. So this is, I always think this pit exit is very unique. I guess Marina, where it goes underneath the circuit, I think is really cool. So rejoining the track, still in 2nd place. So we're nearly a pit stop ahead of Lewis Hamilton, which shows how much of an advantage we have, really. I think especially in the final sector, the AI often go very slowly and brake pretty early, especially for the final, like the first slow corner in the final sector before you go underneath the hotel. As Hamilton now pits at the end of lap 5, which hands us back the lead. And we basically just kept the lead until lap 10, just trying to race against the clock. Another 69,000 improvement there in sector 1 as we go into the hairpin. I actually lose the back end there when we completely pivot round to a 180. Fortunately, it didn't really cost me that much time because I was sort of able to just reverse back and just rejoin on the exit of the hairpin, and it's a very slow corner anyway. But we do have to be a little bit careful because Mark Webber, we pulled away for about 7 seconds to the Australian, but he is starting to close in a little bit, especially if I start making these mistakes. And I just started losing a lot of grip in the rear tires on this set of primes, and again I completely lose on the exit of the 2nd chicane. And this time that really allows Mark Webber to close up completely and even go past us here on the 2nd back straight. So we do have to be a bit careful. Yeah, indeed. We need to think about how to get it back. A bit of a moment there on the curb as we go into the final sector. You can see Mark Webber brakes really early there and completely craps the bed. We go up the inside and we regain the lead. So we just need to stay here for one more lap and then we will have this victory in the bag. You can see I lost 14 seconds on that lap. 1:57. That is crazy how much I gave up in a single lap. We basically didn't make a single mistake until the end here. I'm always like cracking under pressure is again. Oh, to lose it on the curb there. It's a bit of an notice curve. Just keep it together. We only need to negotiate 4 more corners till the end of the season. Mark Webber briefly goes past us, but again breaks very carefully there into the final sector. We blocked the inside line there, and this has really allowed Hamilton to close up as well, but only 3 more bends to go. Surely we will be able to hang on to this victory here in the final race of the season. Rounding the penultimate corner and now into the final one, this right-hander. Just keeping it nice and smoothly on the power next to the final corner. We're going to win the last race of the season.
Brilliant! Brilliant! That's the double. Paul in the win. Oh, you legend!
And Rob is as enthusiastic as always. So, luckily we managed to bring it home. It got pretty close in the end, but it really shouldn't have been. But at last, we've actually had a nice and easy race. Pretty much. So that's it. That's the end of the season. And I've got to say, it has been really enjoyable to do this season on F1 2010. Of course, it's not as serious as maybe the other series I've had on the channel. Of course, on the modern F1 games, I'm a lot more focused on league racing and also playing racing games in the most realistic way possible. And this was just for a bit of fun, just to see what this game was like. And I've really enjoyed it. This game is just a lot of fun. And yeah, also pretty unpredictable, to be honest. Like, you just never really know what you're going to get when you go into a new weekend.
Good job. Great race. I'd like to take a moment to thank you for a memorable season. Thanks to your efforts, we're going to be in a stronger position next year.
And we get the trophy seasons as well for completing the season. We finished P6 in the Drivers' Championship with 140 points. The magic number. We did actually beat Felipe Massa in the standings. So we've beaten a Ferrari in a Toro Rosso, which is of course also Ferrari powered. Hopefully that can impress Stefano Domenicali enough to consider us for next season and maybe give us a phone call to replace the Brazilian at Ferrari for next season. But I guess F1 2010 is like a box of chocolates. You just never really know what you're going to get. And yeah, it has been a very interesting season indeed. And I really want to thank you for watching and for following the season. And I really want to give a special shout out to Dave Hook, aka F1 Games PlayStation, because he has watched every single episode of this season, despite me taking over a year to actually go through the season. And he has actually commented on pretty much every single episode as well. So I really appreciate that. And also really want to give a shout out to his channel, F1 Games PlayStation. I'll leave a link to it in the description. Because he has got a series called the All Seasons Career Mode. He started it like 7 years ago on F1 04. And he's like 400 episodes in and still going now on F1 23. So that is actually a really underrated series. Which would be great if you would check it out. But we also get the team leader trophy and we go into the press conference for the final time.
You set your stall out this weekend with a pole position in qualifying, then really capitalised on this in the race. A perfect weekend, wouldn't you say?
Well, it looked perfect on paper, being fast in qualifying and winning the race. Of course, I nearly bottled it in the end, but at least we managed to secure the win, which is a nice way to end the season and which will hopefully put us in a strong position for next season as well. But it has really been a season full of ups and downs. We started out with a 20th place in Bahrain in a race full of incidents. And we managed to actually secure our first podium in the race after that in Australia, getting second place there. And it was only until Istanbul where I got my second podium. And in the race after that, we won our first race in Canada. We won our second race after the season half in Monza. And now we've secured this third victory here in Marina.
Twilight races are a relatively new event on the Formula One calendar, so you're one of the few drivers now to have won one. Did you find the conditions to be more challenging than a normal daylight race?
No, I didn't, to be honest. I actually really like it, and it's not distracting or anything. So it didn't cause my mistakes at the end. That was just down to tire wear and maybe losing a bit of concentration, taking too much curb, so it didn't have anything to do with the conditions. And it is actually really nice in terms of a visual aspect, even though this is a PS3 game.
We've heard a lot of rumours in the paddock this weekend concerning your future. Chatting to a well-known team boss the other day, he let it slip that you're likely to be moving teams next season. Would you care to comment on this?
Well, I don't know which team boss you talk to, but you probably know more than I do, because I still have no idea. I suppose they had a contract to stay with Toro Rosso for next season. But I genuinely don't know. But my ambition is to move teams, so I can't really say anything more than that. Anyway, we are back in the motorhome, and let's look at our agent and see what contracts we have on the table. So we've got a contract with Virgin for a $6.5 million deal. I don't want to go to Virgin though, even though I really like the team and the livery. I think it's one of the best looking cars on the grid, but that can't actually persuade me to actually go there. We've got another from HLT, another from Lotus. Still, some teams actually dislike me despite finishing P6.
The team said you were doing okay earlier. Nice work.
Well, of course, Toro Rosso are complimenting me because they obviously want me to stay. Here we can see the stats as well for this season. So 12 pole positions, 5 podiums, 3 race wins, and a reputation of level 17. But look at that! Ferrari have offered us a contract for next season.
This is a good offer. You might be able to get more out of them, but remember, you're always taking a chance when you negotiate with teams.
Scuderia Ferrari have offered us a contract for a $7.5 million deal to be the second driver alongside Fernando Alonso for 1 year. And this is really something I was hoping for throughout this entire season almost. I kept saying that I want to be one of the top teams, and it's going to be awesome to drive for Ferrari for next season. So I didn't have to hesitate 1 second to accept this offer. We're going to drive in red for season 2. That's awesome. And it really came out of nowhere because it looked like we were stuck with this team for the time being. Hot property. We're going to leave Scuderia Toro Rosso and we're going to swap it round for Scuderia Ferrari. So we will still have Ferrari power, but we're going to be in scarlet red alongside the 2-time world champion Fernando Alonso. So we are going to be with the top team after one. I really can't wait for next season because that should put us in the box seats to win the championship. And it will give us a really good chance of actually winning the Constructors as well, having a strong teammate like Fernando Alonso. So this is going to be the final time in the Toro Rosso trailer here. So let's just have a nice look around and say goodbye to this team. It has been a really nice journey, and you know, Toro Rosso and Red Bull will always be my favorite team in F1. Of course, still, I am always going to be a Red Bull fan, and Toro Rosso will always be the sister team, of course, even though it doesn't really exist anymore, at least not under the same name as what it used to. But it has been nice to actually do this first season with this team, and I'm definitely going to do a second season on this game because I have really enjoyed it. And also, I mentioned Dave before. I'm going to mention him again because Dave, I know you're listening. I really want to thank you for following this journey on this game and for watching the episodes because it is really appreciated. So that has been it for Season 1 on F1 2010. I really want to thank you for watching and hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I will see you back for Season 2.